lipoprotein little a is similar to the LDL cholesterol. It's similar to it, but it's not exactly the same. And yes, 1 out of 5 people, or about 20% of people, can have it. So this molecule increases the risk for heart attack, strokes. It also can damage the aortic valve. That's the main valve of the heart. And it can go to the legs and cause what we call peripheral arterial disease. So here's something that's common, but it's often not known. And having a high LP(a) will tell you two things. One is you need to intensively control your regular risk factors, but also because it's genetic, your first degree relatives, mother, father, sister, brother, children, should all be checked.
Is there any particular group that has a higher propensity for this, or is this just across the board?
Well, Susan will tell you everyone should be checked, and she's right. But there is an increase in levels of high LP(a), especially in people of African descent, so Black Americans, and persons of South Asian descent. But anyone can get high LP(a).
Susan, that's a good gateway for me to ask you. Let's start with how high LPA has impacted your family.
Yes. High LP(a) has impacted my family in many ways. As a spouse, my husband had his first cardiac event in his early 40s. We didn't understand it. We didn't know why. We just knew it was aggressive and we wanted to stop it. And then as a mom, I lost my daughter, Catherine, at 23 years old of a heart attack due to high LP(a). And when she passed, I was tested and found out that I too have high LP(a). And I'm navigating through all those emotions that go with that. And so I would say that my family deals with high LP(a) every day in just about every way.
Thank you for sharing. I'm so sorry for your loss. But thank you for being a voice for those who do not have a voice and need to hear your voice. Dr. Ferdinand, she seems to be more familiar with high LP(a) than she wants to be. Why is it so dangerous?
Well, this particular LDL-like substance precipitates, or it lays down on the vessels and damages the vessel. It can cause blood clots. It can cause an increase of cholesterol buildup in the vessels. So having a high LP(a) increases the risk for heart attack, strokes, aortic valve disease, and disease in the peripheral arteries or in the legs. It's dangerous because it's outside of just the regular risk factors. It's an independent risk factor, meaning that if you have high LP(a), you could be young and look fine, but have an increased risk for heart attacks and strokes.
Are doctors measuring this when they're doing our annual test or our blood test? Or is this something we need to say, hey, you need to measure my high LP(a)?
Well, Susan will tell you that she's an advocate for the Family Heart Foundation. The patients often need to ask for it to be done. It's only done in less than 5% of patients. And one of the reasons is because there's just not a lot that's known by some practitioners. So you can ask your physician or your nurse practitioner to measure the LP(a). It's not conventionally done. Or you can get a free kit from the Family Heart Foundation. We'll mail it to your home at cholesterolconnect.org, no charge, and check the LPA. Then you can share that information with your physician or nurse practitioner.
I'm going to ask Susan now. Susan, how are you staying proactive about your health, your family's health, and what advice do you have for others listening about high LP(a)?
Yeah, the first thing I say is get tested. And then if it comes back that you do have high LP(a), find a community that understands the diagnosis and understands the treatments available for the diagnosis, reducing those risk factors. I found that through Family Heart Foundation, where they taught me how to advocate. I learned how to advocate for myself and for others. I learned how to ask the right questions. Sometimes that's just as important as walking in the door. I learned to find the right doctors. And I learned that there's hope and that you can live with this condition and not be afraid of the condition.
I want my audience to know that Susan is, I believe, an ambassador for Family Health Foundation, and Dr. Keith Fernandez, he is a professor of medicine at Tulane University School of Medicine. Doctor, I would love for you to tell us, you alluded a little bit about reducing those heart risk factors and those stroke risk factors. What are those? Give us a few of those that we can reduce ourselves.
So there's no FDA-approved way to treat the high LP(a) itself. Now, there's research that's ongoing, but what it'll tell you is that you then intensively control those things we know that work. Lower the LDL cholesterol, decrease blood pressure if you have hypertension, control your sugar if you have diabetes, lose weight if appropriate, increase physical activity, and of course, no one should smoke. So what having high LP(a) tells you is while we're undergoing research, you should intensively control those risk factors with things that we know work. But it also tells you, because it's genetic, that your family members need to be checked also. And I agree with Susan, everyone should be checked.
Before I let you go, I'm going to take this one from Facebook because my audience is on multiple platforms. And the poster said that they vape, they don't smoke. Is that okay if they are considering looking at their high LP(a)?
Well, at one time, we thought that vaping was superior to smoking in terms of its health benefits, but that's no longer the case. And now it's suggested that vaping and smoking both can be harmful to your vessels and cause an increased risk for heart attacks and strokes. I would suggest that a person try not to use any combustible forms of nicotine and that they control those conventional risk factors, lower the LDL, control blood pressure, blood sugar, increase physical activity, and don't smoke.
Do you have a place online for my audience to follow up? Because I'm sure they should have a lot of questions.
The Family Heart Foundation is a nonprofit. It's a wonderful source of information. They actually have videos and vignettes of people who have high LP(a) and other heart conditions. So go to the Family Heart Foundation. And if you want to get a free test, it's cholesterolconnect.org, brought to you by the Family Heart Foundation.
Dr. You and Susan have really changed some lives. I know we'll never know how many, but I believe your time on the Valder Beebe Show has been so well worth it. Thanks for stopping by and being my guest.
Been my pleasure.
You too,
Thanks for having
Susan.
us.
Hi, I'm Valder Beebe, host of The Valder Beebe Show. We have over 1,000 videos on ValderBeebeShow.com and YouTube.com/ValderBeebeShow. We upload new videos daily. Our site is a modern baby boomer platform with news and information important to boomers. Subscribe to YouTube.com/ValderBeebeShow and stay connected as I interview the world's most fascinating people.